Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Vishal Sheth. Vishal, I'm excited to talk to you. Vishal is really a startup and e-commerce expert. He is the founder and CEO of a very interesting e-commerce business called BatteryMate. You can find it at batterymate.com.au. And they're really trying to make all batteries easily accessible, affordable, and sustainable. Vishal is going to tell us how he makes that happen. But before we get there, he's got a great background. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ben. So I'm founder and CEO of batterymite.com.au. So under BatteryMite umbrella, we specialize in rechargeable batteries, chargers, wireless remote, gaming gears, and EV accessories. So we started BatteryMite back in 2018. Like most other e-commerce businesses, our business also started from a small single garage with just around 10 products. And today we have over 5,000 unique products that we store in our Western Sydney warehouses. So yeah, it has been a very interesting journey. Initially, we were just selling on different marketplaces because we had very limited stock and a very small catalog. Then in 2020, we started batterymite.com.au that focuses solely on rechargeable batteries and chargers and accessories. And slowly we added more products in our portfolio. And now we are present in 6 countries on pretty much all the marketplaces and also on our own online store.
Well, congratulations. And certainly, I think it's such an interesting thing, e-commerce, and I'd say more broadly, maybe omni-commerce has been a big hot topic for the last decade. But the reality is that, COVID woke up the e-commerce beast and really pushed it to the next level. And it probably played a big role for you guys. So tell me a little bit about the process and the growth of BatteryMate over the last several years.
Yeah, sure. So as I said, we were a very small business to start with, and I was just operating from my own garage. And then one fine day, we decided to move to a smaller warehouse, which was just very close to where I live. And then we started expanding our portfolio. We did a lot of market research to understand what people are liking, what they are not liking. All the products that were generating a lot of positive reviews for our marketplace stores, we added them in BatteryMite portfolio, and we invested some budget in designing a nice website, launching marketing campaign, and then in just a few short months, it was able to pick up. And today we have nearly 5,000 products.
Now, one of the things you mentioned certainly is just the efficiency and the cost savings and the way you're trying to make that affordable, which is spectacular. But the other area you talked about is this idea of sustainability. And tell me a little bit more about how you and the team focus on that and make that happen.
Yeah, so the whole idea of but I don't look at BatteryMite just as another e-commerce business which sells goods to people. The way I look at it is more and more things are going wireless, right? So if we just talk about, let's say 2007, 2008, if you look at most lawn mowers, they would have a cable attached to them. A lot of shaving machines and other products had cable attached. All the security cameras were hardwired and they had cable attached. Our doorbells and pretty much all the electronic appliances that you can think of, they had cables attached to them. Now, what has happened in last 10 or 15 years is more and more things are going wireless. So when something becomes wireless, let's say if a security camera becomes wireless, that means it will require some form of power, and that power comes from rechargeable batteries. Initially, we were not seeing that many wireless products, mainly because the batteries were extremely expensive. But since 2011, 2012, the lithium ion battery prices have reduced by almost 80%. So today, wow. So today we can actually buy rechargeable batteries at highly affordable prices. So that's where we come in. When devices become wireless, they will use batteries, and batteries have to be replaced every few years, every 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, depending on the device. Let's say, for example, if you bought MacBook 5 years back in 2018, and your computer is still working fine, but it's just dying very quickly. You can just get about 20-30 minutes life out of it, and then you have to recharge it. So at that point, you might think of selling it, or if you go to, let's say, Apple store, and you buy battery there, it might cost you $300. But if you come to our store, we sell pretty much similar battery that works with your laptop for just around $90 or $100. So you save nearly 60-70% there, and you can get few more years out of your laptop. So we promote sustainable consumption of devices. We help customers increasing usable lifespan of their existing devices.
So Vishal, it's a market that touches all of our lives. Anyone who has any one of these devices, I tell you, probably the biggest thing I hear constantly is people are desperate for battery recharging to be solved, right? Somehow to make it easier and faster. So maybe someday you can kind of figure that out for all of us as well. But in the meantime, when you think about all these customers, and one of the things I think you really have in your business is an incredible way of thinking about the data that you can collect on how customers are buying, what they're buying, et cetera. What are they most interested in right now?
So in last, let's say, 12-18 months, what we have noticed in our business is there are a lot of people buying wireless security devices. So whether it's, let's say, Arlo cameras, Ring doorbells, Schwann wireless cameras, or there are UFI cameras. There are more and more people who are using wireless security devices, and when they buy something that doesn't have cable, they will need to replace their battery few years. So now we are seeing a lot of customers who bought their wireless cameras and wireless doorbells in 2020. Now they're due for their battery renewal, and they come to us and they ask for batteries. So that is very interesting to see that the adoption of wireless security devices and smart home devices has been so fast that now there are a lot of sizable number of people who have them in their houses.
That's really interesting. And I've seen that, as I'm sure you see it all the time, Vishal. You probably have all of these products in your own house, but whenever someone pulls up their mobile phone and they can walk around their kitchen or their living room, is quite amazing to see that.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. I noticed in your background, you do have some experience with some of the larger retailers, like the Woolworths Group, et cetera. And you've learned clearly over the years how to approach things like e-commerce very effectively. But you're really part of a group of folks kind of reinventing what commerce and e-commerce and retail is all about. What drives that? Where does the passion come for selling things? And is this something you've been doing since you were a kid?
No, actually. So I was born in India. I came to Australia back in 2007 as a student. So I finished my master's degree and started working for one of the banks here. So I worked in one of the telecom company for a few years, and then Commonwealth Bank for a few years. And I always had passion for selling things. So at one point of time back in 2015, I had a small supermarket which was doing okay. Then in 2018, I started this e-commerce business, and what drives me is when I come to work and when I see that many customer orders, that gives me a lot of joy, to be honest. If I talk about all of our stores, let's say in last 5 years, if I include all the marketplace stores, all the e-commerce stores that we have got, we have gathered nearly somewhere around 250,000 positive reviews or feedback. Now, if we put that number in that perspective, that means we have served at least around 10% of Australian population at some point of time. So
Wow.
1 out of every 10 person in your country has bought either product or services from you. So that is very exciting that we can serve that many customers in relatively a smaller setup that we have got.
Yeah. And I think it's a really nice niche, and I can kind of see where you can broaden it out as we've spoken. But, Vishal, the global economic landscape has been interesting, to say the least, this year. And I'd just be curious to get a sense of, when you look out through the rest of 2023 going into 2024, what do you think the landscape looks like for Battery Mate and for your plans?
Yeah, so Ben, look, as you rightly pointed out, we are living in a very challenging time. The cost of living is rising, inflation is rising pretty much in across the globe. The cost of raw material is rising, and cost of transportation is also rising. Labor prices, labor cost is also rising. Where on the other side, customers are spending less and less money because they've got less money left in their savings account. So that is slightly tricky for the e-commerce businesses. Now we have been really lucky because we have carved a niche for ourselves, and because of our highly streamlined processes, we can deliver some of the lowest prices in the country. So we have seen Batrimite growing at double digit in last 3-4 years. So we have been able to grow pretty well. But as you rightly pointed out, the current scenario is really challenging. The future of Petrimite, we after Australia, our second biggest market is New Zealand, which brings around 10 to 12% revenue to our business. And we have recently launched our store in Europe and in Northern America as well, on Walmart, on Best Buy. So that will be very interesting to see where Batrimite goes in Northern American market and in European market.
Yeah, I think so. And it's such a great name, Battery. You know, how we would say it in the States, Battery Mate. But
Yes.
it's a very, very catchy name, Vishal. And it's really a great story of how you've built this. If someone wanted to learn more about what you and the team have been putting together here, where's the best place to reach you?
Yeah, so they can find us on batterymite.com.au. We also have other domain, batterymite.co.nz, and also for UK. And yeah, they can reach us on any of our pages on Facebook as well, on LinkedIn. We are present on Twitter as well. So yeah.
That's great. Well, Vishal, it's an incredible story. Certainly, I love that arc that you had where the business was built a couple years before COVID and then really kind of saw that arc and that momentum. And then really now I would say is part of a restructuring of how we think of commerce in general. And certainly the business is focusing on an interesting space, you know, batteries, battery life. Any customer out there has faced a challenge with a battery at some point or the other. And now all of you know who to call and where to visit. I've been speaking to Vishal Sheth. He is the founder and CEO of batterymate.com.au. His group actually has a couple of other companies that they're launching, officecatch.com.au, gamemantra.com.au. And so check them out, see what they're doing. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Vishal, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Ben.
Cheers.